Hi, today I want to show you a project that I've been working on for Christmas. In an ever-long quest to impress my daughter, I decided to turn a billet of a 6061 aluminum into a Santa Claus stocking holder. Granted, eventually this is going to get a hook and some other stuff, but that's probably a topic for another day. Today, we're going to focus on the 4th axis machining of this part on the 770MX. Everything we're going to talk about here can be used on any of the machines, including the 440 all the way up to the 1500. But this is the machine that has the MicroARC bolted to it, so we're going to start there. The overall cadence of this video is we'll cover some of the trials and tribulations that I worked on when making this one and how I've improved that process to make an even better version that we're going to work on here. And then I'm also going to do a brief tutorial on the cam. I'm not going to do a deep dive on the cam. I just want to do a high level. This is kind of the strategy I used. We're also going to talk about some of the setup that I had to do here on the machine with the billet to get it to work without chatter and a few other things that I had to worry about. So let's jump in. First, we're going to get the block set in the MicroARC and ready to start cutting. In order to do that, actually on a different machine, I cut a round boss right on the top of the stock so that that 3-jaw chuck can grab it. And then also I made it deeper so that the probe can bounce off of that new round surface in order to get the Z and Y0 for this part. The X0 will just be based off the jaw on the MicroARC. Now, I recognize that the ideal stock for this job would be round bar. However, I had square stock, so we're going to go with that. One challenge I have here is to set up my physical environment to match my cam environment. Therefore, I need this square stock parallel to the table and straight out from the jaws of the MicroARC. So I'm using the Heimer in the spindle, and I'm just going to sweep a few different areas and tap along with the dead blow hammer where I need to get this thing trued in so that the machine has material where it expects it. The first thing I want to do is make sure that A0 keeps the top of the block parallel to the table so that the corners of the material are where we expect them to be. So I'm just going to jog the Heimer down right about the center of the stock, and I haven't set my zeros yet, so I'm just kind of eyeballing all this. Once I get into about a 0 position, I'm just going to jog back and forth, and I did do this off camera, so it should be pretty close. So let's see how we stretch here. And the wiggle you see there is really based on the extruded nature of the stock. I'm kind of just going for the law of averages here. So we'll go up a little bit to there. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So from there, I'm just going to 0 the A. Okay. So now we're trued up. So now that we've got the A0 set with the stock in the chuck, now I'm going to make sure that the stock doesn't take a dive as it shoots out from the chuck. So I'm going to tap it around a little bit, get it as straight as possible, tighten up the chuck. So first, I'll just bring in the Heimer down roughly the center of the part. Nice and easy here. And then I'll just jog the machine out in X to see where that fits on the material. And notice it's going up, so I'm going to give that a couple little taps with a dead blow and try to bring that down a little. Oh, did it all. Did it all. Since I went too far, I'm going to go 180 on, and then I can come down again. Oh, there we go. It's a little high, but nothing of consequence. So I'll just give it a little tap. There we go. Great. Gonna tighten this up. Okay. 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 So now that we're done with all the kind of analog indicator portion of that material setup, I'm going to switch over to the passive probe so that I can get the work offsets set up correctly. And then I'll also use it to reference my tool setter so I can touch off my tool. And then I'm going to tell Path Pilot the probe is in the spindle. Now I've got to do this just right because of the square, and I don't want to hit the probe body. And this is one of the things I've learned from doing this a few times. And I'm going to find a axis center. Let it bonk around. This process is going to set the Z and Y 0. And then once it's done, we'll go back and set the X 0. And I have this set up so that the jaw here is my X 0. So I'm just going to probe using the probe X positive and set work origin. That's it. So we have the workpiece in the chuck, and we have the work offset set. The last thing I need to do is to set up the tool and make sure that the tool length is correct. So I'm going to probe the tool setter with the passive probe and use that to set my tool length. Let's dig in. So let's get this set up. Yeah. Okay. I did not do the elementary thing of double checking that my current work offset and my program work offset are the same. Therefore, all the probing we just did is for naught, and I have to do it again in the correct work offset. Oh. Not a big deal.
So wait, what happened?
Here, we're in G55, and the program is in G54.
Yes. Okay.
Just a brief overview. I'm going to go into a different work offset to touch off the top of that tool setter, and then I'll use that G57, for example, as my kind of playground or sandbox while I'm just setting up that tool 8. So first I'll go G57. I'm just going to jog this thing down and touch off. Okay. Probe and set Z, and then get this out of the way, pull the tool out. I just need to tell Path Pilot I have tool 8 in the spindle. We're at 0. And we're going to touch 0 on tool 8 and make sure the length updated. Which it did because I put this new tool in a new tool holder this morning. Now, I'm just going to get this tool setter out of here. And I want to stop right here and also point out the fact that we're doing both indexed and synchronized 4th axis work on this project. I'm going to use the indexed 4th axis to remove material. So I'll approach this billet from all 4 sides multiple different times with a few different tools to remove just a heavy amount of the material. And then I'll come back with a ball end mill and do a continuous rotation while I'm surfacing that part. I'll do a walkthrough on the cam and show you how it all kind of a high level overview of how I set it up. But ultimately, there's a bunch of discrete operations based on the rotation and the section of material that I'm going to work at any given time. All right, I just wanted to take a quick moment to do a review of how I set up the tool paths for this Santa Claus. Ultimately, I did a bunch of indexed roughing with a 3/8 inch end mill, followed up by an 1/8 inch end mill. And I did that by just setting up tool paths that work down the body of Santa Claus. So I started with the first couple of 3 inches or so and kind of rotated 90 degrees in between each cut just to bulk out the material. And then the next section I did was the lower section on the head. I did that because I had to clear out the material down here before I could get all the way down around his head without bonking the tool holder into the material. From here, the next step was just to do the base, the next part of the Santa Claus, just around his feet and everything. And I did that all but the kind of last inch or so of height. Let me get rid of these tool paths. So you can see there's a bunch of material back here. I had to go in with a longer tool and a different tool holder to kind of bulk out the last of that material so it wouldn't crash into what was left here, which is ultimately protecting the chuck of the 4th axis. After that, I quickly came in with an 1/8 inch end mill and just removed kind of extra little bits that were going to get in the way of the tool. Kind of down in here is a good example of where I really wanted to remove the material. A lot of this is superfluous, but there's a few spots that I needed the material cleared out. Right here is a good example, so that basically that ball end mill didn't just bury into material that the 3/8 end mill didn't remove. So at that point, I'm done and pretty much ready to rock and roll, and I just ran a parallel tool path all the way around. It's a little tricky to see, but there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of lines. For feeds and speeds, I use 3 different tools. I use a 3/8 inch bull nose end mill with a 30 thou radius. All of the roughing was done at about 5,800 RPMs. And then I worked slower as I went down the model because of the chatter factor that happened when material was removed. So the first cut here was done at 68 inches a minute with a 20 thou step over and a 1/2 inch step down. The second cut was done same specs except a little bit slower feed rate, 56 inches a minute. The third cut, again, all the same specs except a little bit slower, again, 49 inches a minute, which I would intuitively have thought that I could run faster, but I think what was going on is I was getting some chatter because out here was springboarding on me while I was working even down here towards the chuck. So I ultimately slowed down the feed rate a little bit until I got to this, to a happy spot. If this material was secured in a standard vise, I could have run it a lot harder. I ultimately wanted to hold the material without a tailstock so that I can finish it all in one go. And so I just did that at the sake of a little longer roughing time, which wasn't a big deal for this project. For that 1/8 inch cleanup pass, I used an 1/8 inch flat end mill, and then I actually held that in an AB Tools AccuHold ACH 1/8, which gave me a longer tool stick out so that I didn't collide into anything. And I ran that at 10,000 RPMs, 40 inches a minute, 25 thou step over, and the tool path was set for a 1/2 inch step down, but I never achieved that because I had only left so much material with the 3/8 inch end mill. All of these roughing tool paths were set with a stock to leave of 30 thousandths of an inch so that that ball end mill had mostly constant tool engagement the whole time. For that last rotary tool path, I used an 1/8 inch ball end mill, 10,000 RPMs, 2 thou step over, 40 inches a minute. And it took about 12.5 hours for this whole thing to run, a little over 3.5 hours for roughing, and almost 10 hours for finishing.